Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're blasting off into, well, that really exciting place where healthcare clashes with high tech. We're exploring how one company isn't just adapting, but actively redefining how we get our medications and health products. Forget everything you thought you knew about your local pharmacy, because things are changing fast. We've got a stack of sources here, specifically Redcare Pharmacy's 2024 Annual and Sustainability Report. And our mission is pretty simple. Pull out the most important nuggets. We want to understand not just what they're doing, but why it matters for you, the consumer, and what it signals for the future of healthcare.
Exactly. This deep dive, it's going to offer a pretty comprehensive look at Redcare Pharmacy. They're one of Europe's largest e-pharmacies. We'll explore their impressive financial growth, their big strides in digital health, their commitment to sustainability, and also the challenges, because it's a complex picture, right? They're navigating a really rapidly evolving market. It's a fascinating glimpse into how a company is positioning itself right at the forefront of digital transformation and what we can learn from that.
Okay, let's dive in. Redcare's vision: until every human has their health. That's pretty ambitious.
It is, and they're chasing it by offering, well, a really wide array of products. You've got prescription drugs, RX, then over-the-counter OTC meds, and even beauty and personal care, BPC.
Right, and all through their online shops. It's Germany, plus 6 other European countries: Netherlands, Belgium, France.
Italy, Austria, Switzerland, yeah. So they're really spreading out across the continent.
So what's really interesting here, I think, are the market dynamics, especially in Germany, right? Europe's biggest pharma market.
Oh, absolutely. The report points this out quite clearly. While e-pharmacies had a decent slice of the OTC revenue in 2023, what was it, like 21 to 25%?
Something like that.
Their share of prescription sales, the RX stuff online, was still tiny, less than 1%.
Wow. So for any business watching, that's not just a number. That's a massive, basically untapped opportunity, isn't
A
it?
huge potential just sitting there, waiting to be unlocked.
And here's where it gets really interesting for healthcare's future and, for you listening. Online RX sales. They've been allowed since 2004, but the real game changer just landed, January 2024.
The nationwide adoption of e-prescriptions in Germany.
Exactly. And Redcare's CardLink solution, it's in their Shop Apothec app. It makes redeeming those e-prescriptions totally digital, secure, convenient.
So no more paper slips, no more queuing at the pharmacy.
Right. And this fits perfectly with what people want. There was that BIT-Column study. Nearly 90% of Germans are actually for healthcare digitalization.
It's a perfect storm, really. Regulation meeting consumer readiness. And if you zoom out, look at the bigger picture. Redcare isn't just reacting here, they're actively shaping this digital health landscape.
How so?
Well, think about things like the upcoming electronic patient records, the EPA. That starts in 2025 for German statutory health insurance members. And the wider European health data space, the EHDS. These are all foundational pieces for a more joined-up, accessible digital healthcare system.
And Redcare is perfectly placed to plug into all that.
Precisely. Their digital model, it's very customer focused, very advanced. It really sets them apart from, the traditional pharmacies, which often just don't have the e-commerce setup, and even from the big online retailers who might have the tech but lack the pharma licenses and, frankly, the expertise.
It sounds like a unique sweet spot, definitely. But I mean, in such a fast-moving market, are there vulnerabilities? Could a big tech giant just decide to jump in and get a license? Or could traditional pharmacies maybe speed up their own digital game, catch up faster than expected?
That's a very fair point, a real challenge. Redcare definitely has a head start, and that specialized know-how is key, plus the customer trust they've built. But you're right, the digital landscape, it's always shifting. Someone could disrupt. An agile newcomer, or, a tech giant with deep pockets.
So what keeps them ahead then?
Their continued investment, I think. In customer experience, speed, that integration piece we talked about, like with e-prescriptions, that's crucial for keeping their lead. The competition is really moving away from just physical stores to, well, who can deliver integrated, easy-to-use digital solutions the fastest?
Okay, so they've got the strategy. Let's talk numbers. 2024 looked like a pretty stellar year for them financially. What were the standout figures? What really drove that growth?
Well, solid top-line growth, definitely, 32%. Total sales jumped up to EUR 2.371 billion. That's up from about 1.8 billion in 2023.
That's quite a leap.
It is. And what's really remarkable, I think, is that over a quarter of that 25.6% was organic
Right,
growth.
not just buying other companies.
Exactly. For a company this size, that shows strong market penetration, that their products are sticking.
Absolutely. And a big driver was the non-RX side, wasn't it?
Yeah, the non-prescription sales, they make up 70% of the total revenue, and they grew 21%, actually surpassed 1 billion euros just in their core DACH segment.
DACH being Germany, Austria, Switzerland.
Correct. And what's noteworthy is they kept a positive operating margin, even though they deliberately ramped up marketing spend.
Ah, to push the online redemption of those new e-prescriptions.
Precisely. Now, they did report a net loss overall EUR net at 46.356 million in 2024. But, and this is important,
Oh, why?
you need to look at the adjusted net loss. That was EUR net 42.281 million.
Okay, what's adjusted out?
Things like non-cash accounting entries from acquisitions, employee stock options, one-off project costs, stuff that doesn't reflect the day-to-day running costs.
So stripping that out gives a clearer picture of the actual operational performance.
Exactly. It shows that while there's a net loss on paper, the underlying operations are actually much stronger. It signals a healthy, high-growth business, not one just burning cash.
Got it. And beyond sales, they're clearly plowing money back in, investing for the future. Logistics seems huge.
Oh, definitely. Makes total sense with order volumes climbing, especially driven by those e-prescriptions. They're freeing up space at their main hub in Sevenum, specifically for German RX orders. They opened a second hall at their Milan distribution center, and they've even started building a brand new center in the Czech Republic.
Why Czech Republic?
Strategically vital. It's for faster delivery times to customers in Austria. It's all about getting those products to you, the customer, quicker and more efficiently.
Because let's face it, when you need medication, you don't want to wait days.
Nobody does.
So with all this rapid expansion, how are they managing efficiency? Growing so fast must put a strain on things.
It's a good question. They're investing heavily there, too. Capacity, automation, technology. They've already pinpointed lots of ways artificial intelligence, AI, can help improve processes, unlock efficiencies, and they've started implementing that.
AI in a pharmacy context. Interesting.
Yeah, optimizing logistics, inventory, maybe even customer interactions. Plus, their working capital stayed positive, around EUR 72.7 million, and they've secured enough liquidity for at least the next year. It shows pretty robust financial management alongside that aggressive growth. They're planning for the long haul.
Okay, so finances look strong, growth is aggressive, investments are happening. But Redcare's vision seems broader than just profit, right? Yeah. You mentioned sustainability earlier. It sounds like it's not just a tick box exercise for them.
No, definitely not. It seems really woven into their strategy. Not an afterthought. It's presented as a core pillar.
And this year's report, it's their first using those new European Sustainability Reporting Standards, ESRS.
That's right. Which means a much deeper, more standardized look at their impact.
So what does that commitment look like in practice?
Well, it rests on two main pillars: patient care and employee care. And those are underpinned by their 5 core principles, things like we start everything with people and we thrive and change.
Okay.
On the environmental side, one really interesting thing is their internal carbon pricing. They set it at 35 euros per ton of CO2 equivalent in 2024.
Wait, internal carbon pricing, how does that work?
Departments actually have to pay into a central climate fund based on their emissions. And that fund got an extra 1 million boost in 2024 to finance decarbonization projects.
Huh. So it makes climate protection tangible, an internal cost, not just an abstract goal.
Exactly. It incentivizes action right across the business, makes everyone accountable.
And is it working? Are they hitting targets?
It looks like it. They've already cut their Scope 1 and 2 emissions, that's direct emissions and energy use, by 74% in the last 5 years.
74%, that's huge.
It is. Puts them well on track for their 2025 target, which is an 80% reduction compared to their 2020 baseline.
And how are they doing that? Renewables.
Largely, yes. 98.1% of their electricity in 2024 came from renewable sources. That includes heat pumps in their main logistics centers, too. A big shift.
But it's not all straightforward, is it? I saw something about Scope 3 emissions.
Ah, yes. It's a complex picture. While Scope 1 and 2 are down, Scope 3, the indirect emissions from their whole value chain actually went up by 15% to over 173,000 tons of CO2 equivalent.
Up. Why?
The report points out that a massive chunk, 83% of their total greenhouse gas emissions, come from the production, use, and end of life of the products they sell.
Ah, so stuff they don't actually make themselves. Medicine manufacturing, packaging from suppliers, etc.
Exactly, and that's crucial, since most emissions are tied to the products, things largely outside their direct control.
Hmm.
They're smartly shifting focus to reducing GHG intensity per order.
Okay, break that down.
Basically, it measures their operational footprint for each delivery, packaging, logistics, their own energy use per order, excluding the emissions embedded in the product itself. It lets them manage what they can control directly while still pushing suppliers for greener products over time.
Makes sense. Focus where you can have the most immediate impact. Are they doing anything else on the product packaging side?
Definitely. They're making big strides in circularity, 94% recycled material in their packaging. They've brought in a new paper-based protective wrap to replace plastic, and they've cut the weight of their ambient cooling packs by nearly half. Small changes, but they add up.
Okay, so that's the environmental side. Pretty ambitious. What about the S in ESG? The social side, the people. You mentioned employee care.
Indeed. That seems equally strong. They really prioritize physical and mental well-being. They offer things like psychological counseling, and they monitor employee satisfaction regularly with pulse check surveys.
And diversity. That's always a big topic.
They have clear targets there, aiming for about a third women on the managing board and in senior management by 2027, and 40% on the supervisory board.
How are they doing on that?
Well, the supervisory board is already there at 40% female, so right on target for that one.
Good. What else on the employee front?
Continuous learning seems key. They use platforms like Udemy, have their own career development program called Rise. Plus, there's a speak up policy with an anonymous reporting line. It launched in October 2024 and apparently already received 14 reports.
Which suggests people feel safe enough to actually use it.
Potentially, yes. It shows the system is active, at least.
Okay, so we've covered growth, finances, sustainability. But operating in healthcare, especially across multiple European countries, the legal and political side must be intense.
Oh, absolutely. It's a constant dance, as you say, full of both opportunities and, well, potential pitfalls.
What are the big ones right now?
Well, the opportunities are clear. Things like the Digital Act, the EPA patient records, the European Health Data Space, they're all set to transform healthcare, and Redcare is poised to benefit. But the regulations themselves are nuanced. Take the EU taxonomy, for example, the system for classifying environmentally sustainable activities.
Right.
Despite all Redcare's digital innovation, their core retail business isn't really classified as environmentally sustainable under the current rules.
Really? Why not?
Only a tiny fraction, 0.005% of their revenue qualifies right now. That's linked to specific things like their waste management or their zero-emission bike delivery service, GoPuls.
So the framework doesn't really capture the potential benefits of shifting healthcare online, like reduced travel emissions for patients.
Exactly. It's a critical point for anyone tracking ESG. Current frameworks, often built with traditional industries in mind, seem to be struggling to accurately assess digital-first businesses. Redcare's low score there highlights a real disconnect, something policymakers and companies need to figure out.
Fascinating. And what about specific legal challenges? I remember hearing about debates over pharmacy bonuses in Germany.
Yes, the RX bonuses debate. Very politically charged. The core question was whether discounts on prescriptions, especially from online pharmacies, were unfair competition.
And where does that land?
The European Court of Justice, the ECJ, actually ruled on it recently, February 27, 2025. They confirmed that, yes, EU pharmacies can grant direct RX bonuses. So a win for Redcare there, potentially.
But there was a catch.
There was. The court also said national governments can limit vouchers or discounts on over-the-counter products if they can justify it on public health grounds.
Okay. So still some uncertainty there.
Definitely. Redcare is currently reviewing the exact implications. It's just a perfect example of the really dynamic legal tightrope they have to walk.
So how do they manage all these risks? Legal challenges, maybe discrimination against online models, dependency on platforms like Google for advertising?
It sounds like they have a pretty robust approach. They actively engage in political dialogue. They're listed in the EU Transparency Register, for instance. They're members of various industry associations to represent their interests, try to shape policy discussions.
Right, it's sure.
A strong enterprise risk management system, ERM. And importantly, they've integrated sustainability as a specific risk domain now. So they're assessing and addressing these kinds of impacts right across their value chain. It's all interconnected.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together then. A
Yeah.
quick recap of our deep dive into Redcare's 2024 report. We've seen a company really pushing hard on digital growth, especially leveraging that e-prescription rollout in Germany. Huge potential there.
Definitely. And making significant strategic investments to support it, logistics, AI.
while also showing, it seems, a genuine commitment to sustainability, both environmental and social, not just talk.
Right, with concrete actions like internal carbon pricing and clear diversity targets.
And all this while navigating a really complex, shifting landscape of regulations and competition.
Ultimately, Redcare Pharmacy really exemplifies both the massive opportunities and the, let's say, significant challenges of digitalizing healthcare. Their journey really highlights how crucial transparency, adaptability, and that genuine commitment to both business success and wider societal impact are becoming.
Yeah, it feels like a powerful blueprint for how established industries can maybe pivot and use regulatory shifts to become digital pioneers. So, thinking ahead, as digital pharmacies keep reshaping how we access healthcare, what do you think is the next big untapped area? Beyond just prescriptions, what innovation could really move the needle further towards that health for every human promise?
And maybe how will that ongoing regulatory balancing act, fostering innovation versus protecting public health, how will that ultimately define success for these digital pioneers? Could it even change how we define what's sustainable in this increasingly digital first world?